Hello everybody, today I have another video for you all, hooray, and today I wanted to review the LEGO Bat-Pod and Batman action figure set. This set came out on June 1st this year. I'm a little late to this set because every single store near me just didn't stock the set until more recently, so I had to wait a while to get it. If I could have gotten it sooner, I would have reviewed it sooner, but anyways, just getting right into the video, let's go. First, taking a look at the Batman figure, and if it looks familiar, that's because it is, because LEGO has already made a Batman figure before. When this one first came out, I thought it was just a generic Batman, but it turns out that this is supposed to be Michael Keaton Batman, and now looking at it, I realized that. And then this one is clearly a lot more obviously supposed to be Christian Bale Batman. Personally, one of my favorite Batman. My favorite Batman is the Robert Pattinson one, but this is like my second favorite. Now this figure has already been modified a little bit, not too drastically, but it's noticeable. So the first thing I did is that I put the shoulder pads on top of the cape, and also with the cape I reversed the way the instructions ask you to put it on, so I put the outside holes on before the inside holes. Yeah. And then for the thighs, when you're building the thighs, it asks you to build one assembly piece and put it on both sides, which would mean it would be asymmetrical, and I didn't like that, so I just built two mirrored builds, which you can do with the pieces in the set, so I don't know why they didn't just ask you to build two opposite legs, because that's what they did with this one. It's two separate builds, and it's symmetrical, unlike this one for some reason. It's not too many modifications, but it is worth mentioning. Anyways, little side-by-side photo of the actual Batman suit next to the figure. It is a very accurate figure, and I appreciate the part usage to kind of get the more Christian Bale Dark Knight aesthetic out of it. One of my favorite part usages has to be the two chest plate pieces here on the front. As you can see, it just uses one of these kind of car hood type pieces, slope pieces, and it's a mirrored print on both sides, and it does a really good job at resembling the chest. And one thing that bothers me is how it doesn't really connect very well in the middle with the bat emblem. It is like that in the movie where it doesn't really kind of is a little awkward toward the middle, but it's not this severe. Like there's a very noticeable gap. Then also another thing that bothers me is that the chest is not puffed up at all. There's like no definition at all. Turning the figure sideways, you can see that there's a massive kind of flatness to it. Comparing it to the other figure that does, although it is still flat, it has some texture and depth to it, at least a little bit. This one's completely smooth and flat, and doesn't really look that good. It's not too hard of a thing to fix, just add like another plate underneath here to just puff it out a little bit. Another detail that I thought was really cool is that looking closely at the two faces between these two figures, it's not the same print. As you can see, it's ever so slightly different, because this is supposed to be Michael Keaton and this is supposed to be Christian Bale. They could have very easily just used the same face print and just thrown it in here, but instead they did make a different one, which I really like a lot. Although I do feel like this pre-molded head helmet piece does not really fit the aesthetic of the Christian Bale Batman. I feel like it needed a point-to-your nose and kind of a more angular aesthetic, like a more angry aesthetic. It just doesn't feel perfect, but I do appreciate that they went the extra mile to give it like a more accurate face. Now onto the bike itself, and I just have to say, oh my gosh, the fact that this set exists is incredible. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't understand why this is such a good set, but I think around 2008, LEGO made a UCS Bat Tumbler set based off the Batmobile that appears in The Dark Knight, and if you bought the set, you had a chance of winning a sweepstakes set that was the Bat-Pod. I'll show a picture of the set right here. I don't remember the full details, but you had to be subscribed to something, and then you had to buy the Lego set, and then you had to do like a few other things, and then you had the set. I don't remember all the details, it might have been more or less, but you had to go through quite a few hoops in order to get your hands on this set. And you're not even getting your hands on it, you're only getting a chance of getting the set. So, it's a very rare and hard to find and very sought after set. And while yes, all the pieces you can source from other sets, it's still like a bunch of hoops you have to go through. But I feel like that set is either going to lower or raise in price now that this set exists. This set existing means not only is there a cheaper way to get the tires to remake the set, because these are the exact same tires included in that set, but also now we have a new version of the Bat Pod to replace that expensive one. So I feel like a lot of people are not going to be worrying about that sweepstakes Bat Pod set, and now just going to be worrying about this one. Now this set, I'm pretty sure it was like $75, $80 or so. I don't really remember. It's a pretty nice set, especially for the considering the price, because you got to realize this set is based off I'm pretty sure $1,000 set. It's not big enough to be worth $1,000, but that's just how rare it is. It's $1,000. It goes for $1,000. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so this set probably should be fair. This set, obviously, Lego is gonna price it up at least a little bit in order to make people buy it, because they know everyone's gonna be scrambling for this thing. The moment I saw this on store shelves, I knew I had to get it, and I did. But it's a nice build, ignoring the fact that it was probably priced up just to make more money, knowing that everyone's gonna buy it. But it is a nice build, not just the fact that it's based off a set. It's a pretty solid, nice build. It's got a lot of details in it. When I started building this, I didn't realize how much detail and effort was going to go into it. I thought it was going to be a mostly symmetrical build, and it was going to be a fairly simple, straightforward build, but it actually wasn't. There's a lot of asymmetrical and extra little details hidden in there, and not really too in-depth into the anatomy of the Bat Pod, but I know it's a very tactical and very fancy-looking bike. So starting off, probably one of the simpler kind of things is up on the front, these two little kind of shields that cover the controls. One side has this little sticker right here, and it's kind of hard to see, but it's just like this little detail that doesn't appear on the other side, so that's just one little extra detail. And then down here on the wheel, we have like this entire assembly that presumably like powers the wheel, or like brings fuel to fire the guns, or I don't know. But there's this entire assembly that goes from here all the way down to here to the guns. And the guns themselves aren't symmetrical either. It's not like a mirrored build. It's actually slightly symmetrical. As you can see, this entire assembly has to be here in order to connect the pipe. And it's different on the other side. And even the stickers are different on both sides too. And then moving down, we have the kind of bed area that Batman lays on. And it's a really nice, smooth build. I really enjoyed putting this entire part together. And then here we have the little knee pads, which have stickers on the back of them. And they actually use chair pieces for this, so that's really cool and a really nifty little part usage. Then back here we have this little kind of thing. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it's pretty cool. And I think these are supposed to resemble pipes or tubes running along it. And this is also asymmetrical. There's like this little tank thing here. And then this piece right here, I don't know what this is for. I'm not sure if I built it wrong or not, but this piece is there. And then we have the two kind of foot pedals here, and again, these are asymmetrical as well. So it's not just all the same build. It's different in certain parts, and it's not just all the same build. It's really nice. I appreciate it. Now, I've also slightly modified the Bat Pod a little bit as well. The back tire here, if you see this little pin assembly, there's two of them on this piece, and originally this one was there, and the wheel was slightly higher up. When doing that, it left the Bat Pod being kind of low to the ground, so I switched it out to be lower down. I feel like it does kind of balance it out a little better, makes it look a little nicer, because the original set, the way it originally had you have the tires, these guns here were actually angled like really high up. And they are still angled upwards slightly, if you notice that, but that's mainly just due to the sag. As you can see, a little bit of sag. It is fixed a little bit, but they were like angled really high up, and it was kind of bothering me a little bit. And also the Bat Pod's supposed to sit high off the ground. Although one thing that was not included in this set, and I kind of a little bummed, but also not really surprised that it wasn't included, is the fact that the tires not only do they spin like this, but something really cool in the movie is that the entire assembly can spin this way, so the thing can drive like this. The tire doesn't turn and start rolling. The entire assembly itself just twists, does a barrel roll. And there's a lot of scenes when Batman comes crashing out of somewhere, instead of the entire bike spinning, it's just the front and back wheel assemblies just rolling, and it's really cool and really smooth, although it's probably a nightmare to have to fix these and deal with these, because these probably don't really survive very well when doing that. And also, even though it's really cool, it's really unpractical, because you got to realize all this junk, all this assembly has to rotate with it, and it's just kind of physically impossible, judging the anatomy that this set gives it, because this entire thing has to spin, so this entire like piping system right here has to spin somehow as well, which does not make any sense. Then back here, if this little kind of tube thing right here is supposed to be a pipe, that also has to spin. And it makes more sense for this back bit to spin, because this can very easily just be a hinge. But up here, there's not really anywhere that can go. I'm pretty sure in the movie, the wheels are kind of placed further out and kind of like are a little bigger and more spaced apart. But here, the set, it does shrink everything down just a little bit. So the proportions are a little off slightly. I'll just kind of show a picture up if I haven't shown one already. And the proportions are slightly off, but it's still a really nice set. And I do suggest you do pick it up if you get the chance to. But anyways, before I end the video, I do want to just put the figure on it, because you can do that, and it would be kind of silly if you couldn't. And here he is on the Batpod. And I just gotta say what you will about the Lego figures, but come on, the fact that one is just included so you can put it on top of the Batpod, it's just incredible. Yes, this figure is a little wonky looking, it's not the best, but not only is it Christian Bale Batman, which is amazing, but also it fits very well and looks very cool on the bike. Although one thing I do have to say is that he doesn't sit perfectly on the bike. This entire assembly is supposed to be where you put your butt and kind of lay on it, but he's very clearly not on it, and there's no way he's bending down to sit down that far, although his knees do line up with the knee pads very well, and the kind of pedals fit there pretty well. And his hands up at the front, they are kind of exposed compared to like what the movie's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure his hands are supposed to be entirely kind of sealed up and like entirely covered, but they kind of just use these simple little pieces, which aren't the nicest like when the figure's on it, but look nice on their own. And this does look incredible. This looks just like how it does in the movie, and it's honestly incredible. Although one thing I do have to say is that earlier when I mentioned that the entire bike is kind of scaled down slightly to kind of be more reasonably priced, that kind of causes the Batman figure to be a little too big. I feel like the Batman is a little too big for this. I'm pretty sure in the movie, Batman is not capable of reaching both sides. Like he's really small compared to it. And this, he's very clearly, if he like strains his body out, he's gonna be able to touch both tires, which I don't think would be able to happen in the movie. Not only are the tires a lot bigger, but Batman's supposed to be a lot smaller on it. And yeah, the proportions are a little odd and wacky, and it is kind of messing with me a little bit, because I do look at it and it's like, that shouldn't look like that, but it's still a really nice set. I do highly suggest, if you get the chance, to pick it up, because I'm predicting that this set will suddenly spike in value the moment it gets sold out. The moment it leaves store shelves, it's going to spike in value, because this is based off a sweepstakes set. If you're wondering if you can put the Michael Keaton figure on there, you unfortunately cannot, because not only does he not have clips on his hands, but also he does not have any anti-studs on his feet to click to the pedals. And although these are both very easily modifiable things to do, just put some anti-studs on there and then put a clip on his hand, you can't really do it. And you can technically put him on the bike, but he won't stay. And speaking of which, this Batman is pretty well on there. He's not coming off. That's pretty securely connected on there. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and subscribe, and go check out my community tab because I post there occasionally as well. And until next time, bye-bye.